out a blow here at Major Staniel Key, and we're pretty much stuck on the boat.
We could be doing some of the fun things of boat ownership, like finding a few leaks that we have and trying to fix them, washing the boat, cleaning up some building rust spots on the stainless, and a whole slew of other things that are on the to-do list. But we've been here for exactly a month now. We figured we would take you through... Why is this happening? So we figured we'd do a little finance update and take you through all of the costs that... Wow.
So, all of the costs that we've incurred so far in the Bahamas.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, we're not going to go into the cost of boat ownership in this video because that is something we post every single month on our Patreon. So if you're interested in that information, you can go check it out there.
As always, we track all of our finances through a program called Tiller, and we love it because it simply puts all of your financial life into a spreadsheet automatically. With Tiller, the only limit is what your imagination can come up with, and of course, your skill with the spreadsheet. So we'll put a link down in the description below. This is not sponsored, but I love the product and just want to tell the world about it.
So with that being said, you can't talk about the costs and fees of being in the Bahamas without talking about your entry fees. When we arrived, we had to get a cruising permit for Leviosa. They offer permits in time periods of 3 months and 12 months. And since we know we're going to be here for longer than 3, but probably not as long as 12, we went ahead and opted for a 12-month cruising permit, which cost us $600. Permit cost varies depending on the size of your boat, and the really nice thing about the permit is that it includes your fishing permit. So we are able to fish the Bahamian waters while following all their guidelines around where you can and cannot fish with freedom thanks to our cruising permit.
And the other costs that everyone has to pay when they come into the Bahamas right now is associated with the health visa. The health visa is a COVID-era development designed by the Bahamian government to help keep everyone safe. And ultimately, it's $40 per person, and that $40 covers both the cost of a rapid test 48 hours after you enter, and the cost of quarantining you should you happen to test positive on that 48-hour test or any subsequent test after that. For us, personally, we're very happy to pay this fee because, again, we want everyone to stay safe. We're recording this in January of 2021. And 2022, thank you. Regulations change constantly, so depending on when you're watching this, it may be different.
Yeah, we'll throw in a link to the website where we get all this information from the Bahamas. Here, now, there are a couple of extra fees that we did pay for entry, and those are mainly things to do with the dogs. The dogs both need their own pet visas, so we paid a fee for that. If you see us looking down, it's because we have all of the numbers and facts right now here on our computer. We do not keep all this stuff in our heads. We're not capable of that.
So all of those are obviously one-time fees, but since we're planning on being in the Bahamas for 6 months, we're actually going to account for them every month. It's 1/6 of the total fee. And the total of all those fees was $793.33 or $132 per month. So that's what we're charging ourselves in January for our entry fees.
Which, when you think about it, isn't bad for getting to be in a foreign country for 6 months. Like a monthly fee of $113?
32.
$132? I'll take it. Now that we're officially here in the Bahamas, we have a couple of costs that we racked up before we left that we're also going to prorate over the next 6 months. And one of those mainly is our provisions. We spent $3,022.98 on provisions, and we're going to break those out the same way we did with the cruising fees, and that totals $503.83.
Now, when we provisioned, we did not provision fresh things like eggs, cheese, fresh fruits and vegetables, those sorts of things, because obviously they would have gone bad. And so we're planning on buying that while we're here in the Bahamas. And over the course of January, we went to a grocery store 5 times. We spent a total of $205. The interesting thing about the Bahamas is the cost of those groceries varies wildly depending on where you happen to be. So a few of those trips were at Maxwell's in Marsh Harbor, and the cost there are maybe slightly more than what you might expect to pay in the States. And a couple of those were at Burke's in Staniel Key, which are probably double what you pay in the States. And so it really just depends on where you happen to be in the Bahamas and how much your food is going to cost.
Yeah, and a lot of that, we totally understand why the prices vary so much. It takes a lot more effort to get groceries to Staniel, so naturally the cost is going to be higher than someplace like Marsh Harbor, where there's a lot of stuff coming in and it's a main entry point for the Bahamas. And speaking of things that vary wildly by location, trash removal. Something that you don't think of a lot when you're in the States, but something you're constantly thinking of when you are on a boat because there's no place to put your trash. And the islands have a really hard time disposing of all of that waste, so there's normally a fee involved. Now, there's a lot of places where it's free or only a couple of dollars, but unfortunately, we found ourselves at Staniel with 3 bags of trash and had to get rid of them. It was just building up, and we don't have the storage for that on the boat. We paid a total of $13.20 to get rid of our 3 bags, and I will say it was worth every penny. Thank you, Staniel.
And finally, we decided to top off the diesel tanks when we got here. That wasn't necessary, but the gas and diesel in the Bahamas, depending on where you are, can be few and far between. And so it's always a good idea, if gas is close by and easily accessible, just to go ahead and top off.
And I think you mean diesel. Don't confuse me.
Oh, that's true. I do mean diesel. I said it first and then I flipped. I'm sorry. Diesel, and I believe gasoline, but at least diesel in the Bahamas is highly regulated as far as what the cost is. So this is one of those things that you can expect to pay a consistent price no matter where you are. So when we filled up, it was $4.67 a gallon. We got right around 57 gallons, so that cost a total of $267.89. And again, we didn't need it, so we're just gonna go ahead and attribute that over 2 months because I think that's about how long that amount of gas will last. So that brings a monthly total of $133.95 of what we're charging to January.
That puts a total of $856.40 for things that keep both the boat fueled and us fueled.
And that leaves the last major category of things we spent money on are the things that we did for our own entertainment. And one of the things that we love about being in the Bahamas is that the vast majority of the things that we're interested in doing, you can do for free. Things like snorkeling, hiking, playing with the dogs on the beach, none of those things cost you a dime normally. But that doesn't mean that everything is free.
Yeah, if only. In January, it gets dark really early. The sun sets around 5:30, and after that, a lot of the islands don't have any lights, so you're just kind of hanging out in the dark. At this point, Charles and I typically pick up a book, and we like to read them on our Kindles to keep the amount of books on the boat to a minimum. We picked up 3 new books in January, and that cost us a total of $42.97.
And then the other thing that we're gonna put into the nighttime entertainment bucket is our Alive internet service. Now, obviously we use it for a ton more than just streaming Netflix or Apple TV. Most notably, I couldn't do my job without it, but we've got to put it somewhere, so we're going to put it in nighttime entertainment. And even if I didn't have a job, we'd probably still have it. So we have the 200 gigabyte plan from Alive, which costs $140 a month. And with that 200 gigabytes, we can do everything that we need to do in a given month, and we don't have any issues with it as far as running over our allotted data. And so we love it.
And up next is what we spent on moorings. We ended up grabbing a mooring ball 3 different times in the month of January, which I was actually pretty surprised about, but they all had a reason.
The first one we grabbed was in Green Turtle, and the reason for that was because it's a little bit easier to deal with the resort if you're on a ball. And we needed the resort to help us with customs and things like that, and so just a little bit more convenience there. The second one was when we were in Little Harbor, and the reason we ducked into Little Harbor was A, it was gorgeous and beautiful, but B, there was a nasty cold front that was approaching, and we needed the protection that Little Harbor offers, but there's no room to anchor because there's so many moorings available. And so the last one was when we were in the Exumas Land and Sea Park, and while you're in the park or any national park in the Bahamas, you are supposed to pay even if you're anchoring. And with our 40-foot boat, the cost difference between anchoring and grabbing a mooring ball was just $5. So we went ahead and spent the extra $5 and grabbed the mooring ball while we were in the park. And on average, they were about $25 a night, give or take a few here and there. That gave us a total of $192.97.
And of course, for entertainment, we are not immune to wanting to go out for a bite to eat and a couple of cocktails. So we did that a few times already. We grabbed a couple of drinks in the Green Turtle Resort. We went to Colors in Marsh Harbor, and then we definitely went to Pete's Pub while we were in Little Harbor. Twice. And all of that adds up to $367.35.
And wrapping everything together for entertainment, we spent $743.29 for the month of January.
When you add all three of those categories together, we spent $1,731.91. Now, I don't know if that seems like a little or a lot to you, and the truth is you can spend way more, like we did last year, or you can spend way less. So it really is completely kind of choose your own adventure out here. This is just what we spent, and I hope that providing the information is helpful to somebody that's looking to plan the same kind of journey.
And just as a reminder, if you're interested in this kind of content and want just a little bit more detail, we post a full breakdown of all of our costs over on Patreon, which include things like how much we pay for our satellite internet, engine maintenance, and any other maintenance that we perform on the boat, and any sort of miscellaneous costs that just happen to come up because it's a boat. That's what boats do, right? So check it out over there if you're interested, and we'll see you again next week with our normal vlog.
Bye, guys. Just couldn't watch you struggle through it one more time.
It's fair.
Thank you.
Fair. So what's that? 680 plus.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Shit. When I say are you ready, say yes or no.
Sorry.
Did you brush your teeth this morning?
I did not. I
can tell.
Yeah, I forgot. That's recording.
Smelly. We grabbed a couple of drinks at the Green Turtle Resort in Green. Yep. So when you add all three of those categories together, we add. So when you add, no, I'm laughing. Okay. That is everything that is pretty much a necessity of keeping the boat running and keeping us fueled. Us running. Us boat fueled and us running. Yeah.
Yeah.